August 3rd, 2023 began like any other day on Koh Phangan Island. It's the Thursday full of life, and some of the islanders were beginning their day, feeling illuminated by the mellow rays of the yellow sunrise. Some are refreshing the morning with a cup of coffee. Others woke up with a brutal hangover after too much last night partying. After all, it was a full moon's party. Sadly, not all would enjoy the brightly shining day. At around 12:30 p.m., a garbage collector was on his usual duty rounds at the local landfill when he noticed a quite intriguing cargo with something unusual inside of it. It is an empty fertilizer bag. Upon closer examination, he discovers that it's full of wet, rotten material. It looks like someone had just dumped animal remains there. But before conclusion, he peeped from a much closer range. His face froze with sudden shock upon realizing that the bag indeed contained parts of a human body. To be specific, it was a human pelvic and intestines. He quickly reported the matter to the authorities, and the police quickly arrived at the scene. Depending on the size of the organs, the police could easily determine that the organs belonged to a foreigner. They were too big in size. Moments from then, more body parts from different spots across the island are discovered. To be specific, they discovered 14 bags in total, with so much distance and variation between them. The challenge before the police now was determining whether they belonged to a single person or many. But at least they were aware that there was a murderer in the island attacking tourists. They alerted all the locals, requesting them to be careful and vigilant. The final bag to be discovered contained legs and blood-stained clothes. The police were able to determine that the victim must have been murdered approximately 6 hours ago, depending on the state of decomposition. The forensic team carried out a DNA test and finally identified the victim. He identified as Edwin Arietta. From that point, questions unfolded. Who was Edwin Arietta Artigo? Why was he dead, and why was he mutilated in such a ferocious way? Edwin was born in Santa Cruz de Lisa, Cordoba region, northern Colombia. He grew up in a stable and loving family background. His father was a TV and radio technician. His mom was a school teacher. His parents were respected throughout their neighborhood and beyond, a couple that supported family, friends, and with pure commitment. Sadly, Edwin's mom passed away when she was only 44 years. Edwin's dream was to become a surgeon, and so he studied hard in college to acquire the skills needed for medical training. After sheer hard work, he graduated and then moved to Ontario, where he began working as a plastic surgeon. Within 10 years of his career, he had performed hundreds of cosmetic surgeries that were impeccably successful. He finally managed to join the Colombian Society of Aesthetic and Reconstructive Plastic Surgery, which is an internationally recognized institution. Edwin also had a social life, with over 35,000 followers on his Instagram account. He was well recognized both locally and internationally. Around December 2022, Edwin came into contact with a Spanish man called Daniel Sancho. The two met on Instagram as Edwin went through his profile. Daniel was, however, 20 years younger than Edwin. He was a very handsome and charming young man with long hair and well-body toned physique. The two began texting quite frequently, and as days turned into weeks, their normal friendship started to turn into something more romantic. Sooner or later, they began getting sexual with each other, sending quite explicit photos and videos to one another. The casual relationship between the two finally began to become serious. Edwin started getting too interested in Daniel, spending tons of money on him just to keep him happy. He even set up a restaurant for Daniel with over $10,000 US. Edwin finally ended up seeing this quite differently. He wanted to end the secretive nature of their relationship by becoming two committed partners. He wanted them to have a future together outside of Colombia. Edwin had plans to move to Spain, open up 2 clinics there just to be close to Daniel, specifically in Barcelona and Madrid, the places where Edwin anticipated that the two would live. Before Edwin could move to Spain, Daniel invited him for a visit to KOH PANGAN Island. According to Daniel, he wanted them to have some private moments together before kicking into their busy schedule of Edwin moving to Spain. Edwin, being a person who loved traveling and adventure, and obviously his heavy bank account, this in fact was no problem for him. Besides that, such a holiday would give him the chance to see Daniel secretly, and definitely Thailand was the perfect place for such plans. On the 1st of August 2023, the two met on the island of KOH PANGAN. The couple was to celebrate a full moon party, a party that is celebrated in Thailand, especially in the island of KOH PANGAN. Daniel had arrived at the island on the 31st July, and so after Edwin's arrival, he met him at the airport. He picked him on a motorcycle and the two went to Hat Salat Villa Resort to stay in a bungalow. Who is Daniel Sancho? Daniel ain't no stranger to fame. He was born on June 11, 1994. He is the first son of the famous actors Rudolph and Sylvia Broncaro. The two met at a very young age during their acting career and had Daniel at a very young age. However, a decade later, the couple split amicably. Due to the success of his family, Daniel had known only a comfortable and relaxed kind of life. He was quite active and very athletic. Daniel, however, did not choose his family's path of acting. He instead chose to dive headfirst into culinary arts world. He worked in a food service industry and cooked at the upscale catering company Labim. Though he only made a fraction of what his family was worthy of, Daniel enjoyed life to the fullest with traveling and sharing his life on social media. He posted videos about his passion for gastronomy, surfing, and traveling the world. He had a modest following, especially on his YouTube channel, where he posted his cooking videos. However, despite the fact that he was born of a family with fame and influence, his videos did not get much recognition. Back to KOH PANGAN. Edwin's family started getting concerned. He had not reached out to them ever since he got to the island. This never felt like Edwin, since he was the kind of person who kept his family members in constant contact. Edwin's sister was already aware of Daniel's relationship with Edwin, so he reached out to Daniel. She requested him to make a report to the authorities for a missing person. He was quite reluctant about the move, but finally went down to the station without any knowledge that Edwin's body parts are now being discovered across different parts of the island. While at the station, the officers noted multiple scratches on Daniel's body, and this became quite concerning. Out of that, they decided to detain Daniel as they did their own investigations at the bungalow. From the look of things in there, the place looked spotless. The bedroom was neat, and so was the kitchen and other areas. But upon closer examination on the drains, they noted some human hair and flesh-like substances, likely to be human body tissues. DNA sampling would prove that someone had gone through some form of animosity in this bungalow. What was to be learned was how and why this person had to go through such tremendous pain. The search for more evidence was ongoing as detectives continued to question Daniel. Initially, he had denied any involvement with Edwin's disappearance, but after too much pressure from the officers, his alibi quickly changed. He claimed that their holiday together was perfect in the beginning. They rode on a bike together and they had enjoyed their time on the island of KOH PANGAN. In the morning of 1st of August 2023, the couple had agreed to not join the full moon party. They had found themselves caught in an argument that did not go so well. Daniel stated that Edwin had become too pushy, wanting too much physical affection, even harassing him for sex. While in the middle of the argument and the struggle, Daniel pushed Edwin into the bathroom. He hit his head and collapsed unconscious. Daniel poured water on Edwin, trying to wake him, but he never responded. From that point, Daniel allegedly stabbed Edwin 2 times and then cut his throat open. He then dismembered Edwin's body into 14 pieces before disposing them off. He did this in a period of 24 hours. He had even rented a kayak to do so. Receipts at the rental store confirmed that Daniel arrived shortly after 9 p.m. on August 1st. He appeared agitated and tense at the time. He had been denied a rental kayak since it was already too late. But using his father's credit card, he bought the kayak instead, and the staff member agreed to sell it. This was a confirmation that Edwin tragically died on the very first day he arrived in the island. Daniel had taken Edwin's suitcase and limbs, paddled out to sea. He dumped it there and then returned to the bungalow, slept the night with Edwin's half body still in the room. On the morning of 2nd August 2023, he motorcycled around the island, dropping Edwin's body parts at different locations. On 3rd August, around 9 a.m., he checked out of the villa. That was when the first of Edwin's body parts were being discovered. The authorities, however, felt concerned and wanted clarity on the killing motive. They asked Daniel about their relationship nature. Daniel denied of ever having a sexual relationship with Edwin or any romantic involvement. He claimed that he was Edwin's hostage, who deceived him that he wanted them to become business partners, which was odd as Kim. He added that Edwin only wanted him as a boyfriend, and anytime he made efforts to back off, Edwin would threaten him. However, multiple messages from Daniel's phone were discovered by the police, and indeed it was true. Edwin had threatened Daniel with death threats and blackmail if he tried to end the relationship. Daniel hated feeling like a hostage. He further claimed that he disguised the trip to Thailand as a holiday for them, while indeed he wanted to break up with Edwin. He denied being gay, adding that he was planning to marry a Spanish woman in the coming months. After Edwin discovered of Daniel's involvement with Laura, his plans of marriage, and now the breakup, Edwin got wild, and so they got into a physical altercation, which caused Edwin's unfortunate death. However, despite his defensive confession, detectives found a rather contradicting piece of evidence. Surveillance camera confirmed that on the morning of 1st of August, right before picking Edwin, Daniel had made a purchase at a local store, buying knives, detergent, and other cleaning materials. This discovery left Daniel with great possibilities of facing premeditated murder charges. For 1 year, Daniel remained in detention, awaiting trial. But on the 29th of August 2024, he finally faced his trial. Though he kept maintaining his innocence and that he acted out of self-defense, Daniel received a life imprisonment sentencing without possibility of parole. And that is the tragic case of Edwin Arietta and Daniel Sancho. And in the meantime, please consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next one.